when my LLB course was over, as part of actually meeting all the professors, I went to college. And at that time, professor told me that, okay, Soumya, what are you doing there? Why don't you apply to JNU? The seats are open. And at that time, it was like after passing the LLB and all, and what we have to do, we have no idea. We are really naive to. Yes, definitely there is a practicing as an option. But at that time, the advice and guidance given by my professor helped me to shape my entire career prospect. The day when she told me that you have to apply to JNU and the seats are open, I applied. I was like, okay, I should try this out. And that was the when period, because there are 5 Ws. Whenever you look into an issue, or whenever you research, whenever you write a paper, or whatever you do, these 5 Ws always follow. And the 5 Ws are like why, when, where, what, and also who also is a very important question. These are the 5 Ws that always guides you in each and every prospects of your life. So that when moment, when she told me that you have to apply to JNU, at that time itself, I applied. Trust me, that application to JNU changed everything, because it opened up venues for me, wherein I was able to work with Ministry of Commerce, and especially to analyze the international trade documents. And all of you are aware of WTO, World Trade Organization. And in World Trade Organization, there are certain notification which has been issued on TBT, technical barriers to trade, SPS, sanitary and phytosanitary notifications. So I used to analyze this notification, write the draft on behalf of the country on how it will be impacting the country. And this was during my MPhil time. After passing out from LLB and getting this particular advice from Professor Saroja ma'am, I was able to get into MPhil for JNU. And at that time, there was also a professor who shaped my philosophy or ideology towards research, reading, and even how to look at using the alternative perspectives, how to look at several subjects. And my major at that time was international law. And as part of international law, I dwelled into a lot many interesting subjects like international trade law, international environmental law, international investment law. And these are my expertise. And because I was working on international trade law as part of my MPhil thesis, it was easy for me to get into the Delhi-based law firm, and also which was part and parcel of Ministry of Commerce. And there, I met Professor B.S. Chimini, who is the founder of Third World Approaches to International Law, who helped me to understand how to apply Third World Approaches to International Law in international law. This particular experience, later on after 3 years, came handy for me, because when I applied to Jindal Global Law School, teaching was really a new thing for me, because I was practicing till that time with international trade law. So I joined here 6 years back, and in 2016, when I joined here, I was not, you don't have the training of teaching. I have only seen my professors who taught me. There in Jindal Global Law School, and my dean as well as my executive dean and vice dean, they were also aware of that particular problem that I was facing, because I was new to teaching. And there are a lot many people at that time who joined who were new to teaching. They provided a system wherein they gave training to teachers, and there were senior professors and senior experienced teachers who uh, who who will ask us to sit in their class and see what is the pedagogy and what exactly is the structure that they use for teaching. And that helped me, yes, professor, uh, that helped me in understanding what and how you will indeed get uh, to know the class. And there they taught me that each student who are sitting there in your class, they are individuals, and they are individuals. You should not treat them as kids. They are with their separate intellectual capacity, and how to indeed organize or structure your pedagogy with respect to that particular class. So why question of why do you want to get into teaching had already been answered by my professor. Definitely, teaching is a passion for me. I will tell you all the points which Professor mentioned right now, that it makes you feel young. Exactly, Professor. I do 100% agree with you. When you step into the atmosphere of university, it makes you feel lively. And you are able to, you have been transformed into another sphere altogether, where you are not only teaching, but at the same time, you're de-learning. Whatever ideology or whatever prospects or perspectives that you had indeed introduced to, your students will challenge it. Your students will ask you question. You will get a concrete idea of what exactly is those concepts dealing with. They will test your knowledge. They will ask questions which later on, even after the class, you will go there, you will go back, and you will ponder on that particular question which was being asked by our students. Not only that, it will also make you to read more and to crystallize that particular concept more more on the basis of the clarity, because there will be lot many questions these students they ask. And that you can expect in today's and also even earlier with our law students. So de-learning is some process which you every day you are being tested, every moment you are being tested, every your body language, your the way you take it, your knowledge. These students, they will definitely challenge you in many ways, and that becomes a passion for you, because you will feel and you will also get to know what exactly to write, when to write, how to write, and what is the level of that particular idea that had been indeed tested in the classroom. So for me, academia not only provided or helped me with the passion that I had, and to be frank, I recognized or I even identified that I love teaching only when I reached Jindal, because there itself it opened a venue for you to understand what you want. In India, right now, there are a lot of law schools, and private law schools are, there are a lot many of law schools. For example, Nirma is there, and Geo is there, and there are Bhubaneswar KIIT, the one of the important law school. Again, there is Jindal, there is Amity, there is Bennett University. There are a lot many universities. So today, because of GATT's agreement, the General Agreement on Trade and Services that India signed in 1995, we have also opened up our borders, and we are inviting foreign universities also to start new ventures, especially related to educational services in India. There had been a lot of critics with respect to this. How those are something which we can discuss later on, but it's true that today it's open for foreign universities also to start educational institutions in India. At this particular moment, one need to keep this in mind, that apart from the law colleges, private law colleges that are there today, there will be definitely more law colleges which will be opening by the private university, private parties or private owners. So who will be going to open this is definitely these private parties are part and parcel of that. And lately, today itself, when I was also talking to Professor Safi Mohan, he also mentioned about this, that the India International Research in Legal Studies had also been opened by the Bar Council of India in Goa. And they have also floated this particular invitation for faculties in this new school. Now, when you think of teaching, there are a lot many things you have to keep into mind, and that 5Ws comes very handy for you. The first thing is that why do you want to get involved in the teaching profession? Are you a person who are going to be research oriented? Because research will become part and parcel of your teaching profession. One very important thing which is always mentioned by in the academia is that publish or perish. If you are not going to publish, then it definitely will also lead to the end of your profession. Why publication and research gives you more incentives or gives you more inspiration for your teaching profession? Because you are not going to stick with the pedagogy that you first introduced. You are going to definitely change. And as Professor mentioned, each moment that there are updates to the law that is happening, every day there are lot many judgments that are coming, lot many developments with respect to the legislative formulations that are happening, and also there are executive policies that comes into place. So even if you have a pedagogy, you have to change it accordingly. This will help you keeping in touch with the updates or even the developments that is happening in your subject area. It will not only help you to improvise your pedagogy, but it will also help you to keep updated with your research. You can come up with lot many kinds of important research papers or journal articles, which will help you to shape your that particular pedagogy. Secondly, there are also options or opportunities that you get when you are attached to a particular organization or institution. You will sorry, you will be able to explore the world of conferences. These conferences, they are not just something which you dismiss it at for 2 days, but the international conferences in most of these institutions, they will also support you to go and present your ideas there, which will shape your research further, and you will also be able to interact with the eminent scholars who are there in your subject. So the private universities right now, which are coming up and which are already established, they give their faculties this particular incentive, or they give this exposure to their faculties. And not only with the private universities, it also happens with government universities, I suppose, but I'm more experienced with private universities. There is a particular fund which has been assigned and kept aside so that their faculties, they can engage with the foreign faculties abroad or foreign personalities who are practicing in that particular area. So that's one reason wherein your teaching as a profession will help you. So the why question is many, and it is already been answered. And where becomes the next important question? Where do you want to teach? Each institution has its own ideology. Definitely, we cannot dismiss that particular thing. And you also have an ideology. So you have to see, when you apply for this particular private universities, at the end of the day, they are already shaped according to the globalized idea, or the capitalist mode of production is definitely there in that particular educational institution. Results are very important and it is very competitive. But apart from that, you should also see that whether that joining that particular organization, there is also an option which helps you in shaping your research, and also whether they provide you with other facilities like accommodation and all, because you don't have time to think about it and you don't have time to worry about it. For example, in Delhi University, there is Munjal University. There are other MIT universities there, Bennett universities there. If you look at these universities, you can see that they are there is a residential arrangements that is being made by them, but they clearly tell you that okay, in case if you are staying here, you have to stay here in this particular residence, which is nearby the universities, or otherwise you can opt for the Delhi residences. Now, these these particular instance also is very important for you. As I mentioned earlier, you don't have time to think, worry about your transportation, worry about your quarters, or worry about lot many personal issues which also interact with your professional issues. And most of these universities, even Symbiosis in Hyderabad, Bennett University, they are all of them, and even Geo University, Jindal, they are situated far away from the main area of happenings, whatever events. Like it's Jindal University is 30 to 40 kilometers away from proper Delhi. Even the same applies to Munjal University or Bennett University, which is in Noida, which is far away. Geo University. So the rural areas are, or even somewhat rural areas are being selected by these particular institutions because they want space to expand, and it is away from the main town or main cities. So you have to think how whether that particular distance is going to affect you. For me, so from here, I was focusing in Delhi itself because it's also helpful for me to access many libraries. In Delhi, there is Indian Society of International Law. ISIL is there. There is Supreme Court Library is there. ILI Library is there. Teen Murti Library is there. So there are a lot many libraries which is accessible for me, and even when I'm teaching as a student, it is very important for me to access these particular libraries. And Delhi is a place where you will be able to interact with the international personalities. For example, there is International Habitat Center, IHC is there, wherein lot many programs related to academia also happen. So this is one place why I selected, and I wanted to be near to this place because whenever there is some important instances or events that happens, I want to be part and parcel of this. Why is it important for me? I'll tell you. As a professor of law, you have to interact with your peers, and these events give you an option to interact with your peers, and also to establish yourself in the field of teaching. So that's why where the question of where becomes very important. You have to select that particular where, and you have to know that particular area or space wherein you are going to be assigned. And the same happens with lot many other universities like Bennett University, because they're nearby Noida Center. The third question, which is very important, are that the timing, and when should you start applying. And for this, as I mentioned earlier, my professor's advice was timely. It was delivered in a timely manner. At the time when I passed out of LLB, she guided me that you have to right now opt for the JNU option. Most of these universities, which is established or which is also in the process of establishment, they opt for faculties who have their education from India's best universities, or even foreign institutions. If you go through the India International Center, the Bar Council of India which just got inaugurated in July. They also have stated one particular condition. They are asking for foreign law faculties, or foreign or candidates who have foreign law experiences, or who have done their studies in foreign institutions. The same, even for the doctorate, they're also asking this particular question. And but there is one thing: it is not a condition precedent, but you can apply there. There will be a preference which will be given for these particular students. And secondly, is that they are also looking at the language of communication. In Delhi, basically, the Hindi is one of the important language which has been used on a regular basis, even more than English. Hindi is something which they have been used, but in the university, there is a condition that it comes from a mixed culture. There are students from Hyderabad, there are students from Kerala, South India, there are students from Northeast India, there are students from Northwest India. So there are all these students, when they come together, they use the medium of English. And if you know English, it will be very easy for you to interact with the students. And don't worry about it, because English at the end of the day is a colonial language, and it has lot many dialectical differences. When you go abroad and you see that when they speak without that kind of embarrassment. They are saying that okay, it's a kind of adopted language. You will get into that particular track when you are within the space of a university, and your language will improve a lot, because there is nothing to an effect which will invoke a kind of feeling wherein which will take you backwards, and you step backwards and say, "Oh, should I, the English which I am talking, is it right in a way or so?" There's nothing right and wrong. But this particular, once you get into this institution, it becomes really friendly for you, because they will also help you in enhancing your language skills. So all these questions of why, where, who, what, and when becomes very important for us. And but for all these questions to move on, the first thing you yourself has to identify is that whether you like teaching as a profession. And when you go into these particular universities, the students there are proactive in nature. They are very good in their technical skills. As Professor mentioned, our government law college students, they are well versed in the content because they have that ground knowledge. What they lack is that particular technicalities, which is indeed being a privilege for the students who are already been learn who have already experienced, or who are already experiencing that particular technicalities. If we from our government law college students also have that technical knowledge, it will be an added advantage for us, because therein we are also understanding the technicalities. For example, how to for here, if you say from LLB stage itself, the students start publishing. Even they will brush up their assignments. They will get to their faculties. They will collaborate with them. They will ask them that how to publish that particular assignments. So that kind of culture is indeed promoted. And here again, there are small clubs of tutorials, and that tutorial turns into a guidance structure wherein the students are encouraged to publish from LLB time onwards. And this becomes an asset for them. Not only that, their reading culture is indeed promoted to a lot of extent. They won't be even given a book they will directly for them to read. They will be even with unknowingly they will be introduced to a culture wherein they will start reading. For example, we will start from John Grisham's novels, wherein we will ask them to that, okay, it is legal thrillers. You find out what exactly is there which deals with the international law. So the student will be curious to see whether there is any kind of international law point that is there in that particular novel. So they are introduced to the reading structure in a systematized way, and their lectures are structured in such a way that they won't there will be a pedagogy which will be shaped in a way wherein their writing, reading, as well as their research culture is being promoted. So for us as faculties, we have to equip ourselves with the alternative perspectives of law to get into this particular institution. Once we are there, we will be able to enhance that alternative aspects of law that we are dealing with. For example, my apart from international law, I am also teaching labor law, and in labor law itself, I introduce, there are survey based research which is promoted, wherein the students are also being asked to prepare a research paper. They have to interact with the contract workers, they have to interact with the ASHA workers, they have to interact with lot many segments of workers to understand what exactly is the ground reality. At the end of the day, when they complete their labor law, and today there are a lot many changes that had happened to labor law. Labor codes are being introduced, right? So they will also be able to understand and prepare a critique of what exactly is there in labor law at present, and what is the impact of that particular law, and how to technically use that particular labor law in today's instance. So there is a structure, there is a pedagogy which is research based. There is also a teaching and reading, which has been a reading which has been given to the students, wherein they are able to shape their entire course, not only practice based but also philosophically based. So this is a kind of pedagogy which is prepared in most of these particular colleges. Teaching with a private university, and even government university also these days, Kerala University, I heard that they have indeed developed a really good library, and very rare volumes of books are also available. And this is also applicable to a lot many our MG University libraries also. In private university, one easy thing is that the infrastructure is quick to adapt, and they will bring in the in case if you apply and you say that okay, I want to get this particular book, they will connect, they have a particular network, and they will connect and get you that soft copy or a hard copy for you and for your students. That instantly, that happens instantly, because you won't have to wait for that particular material. This infrastructural and facilities are there which help you as a teacher, which not only help you in your research, but it also helps your students. And again, there are also one more very interesting freedom that you get. That is that you can experiment with your pedagogy. There is nothing to restrict you, which clearly states that okay, in case if you want to get into alternate perspectives, or you want to develop a certain kind of pedagogy where you want to test the knowledge of student in a very different way, you won't have any hurdles in that particular experimentation, because the management is not going to stop you from experimenting that. At the end of the day, the outcome is that you have to teach those courses, and there should be an outcome which should be available for you. So these are something which is important, and the freedom of work, and the freedom which helps you to understand your passion is also there in this particular profession. I learned from my professor, and I truly, Professor ma'am, I experiment with the techniques that you taught me, and the internet and other facilities had also given you a lot of ambit to experiment with your teaching. So compared to the time which had already expired, right now there are lot many ways in which the technology also helps the teaching. So there are videos. For example, when teaching labor law, the important Biswada Wilson's videos regarding the sanitation workers, or all these things you can introduce in a hybrid mode, or even in an online and offline mode, which helps in engaging with the students. Not only that, another interesting thing with the universities, and especially one of my university, because I'm teaching here, there is also one thing of institution building, which they require us to do, wherein at the end of the day, we have a form, we have a feedback which has been given by our students, And that feedback matters a lot for us, because it also my promotions and my increments is also based on that. So they clearly state that as part of institution building, have you attended any conferences, have you published anything? This pressure also forces you to write. For example, right now I have 2 papers which is in pipeline and had been sent. One is with the Vietnam National University, Journal of Vietnam National University, and the second one is with the Third World Quarterly. So when these conditions are there, you have no option but to publish, because you have been forced in one way or the other. So there should be a scopus publication also. So that will also help us to grow, because at the end of the year, you will have some publications with you. So these are certain interesting and important elements of teaching. And also one need to keep in mind whether you get ample enough time for research. In our university, we are not being there is a set subject which is allotted to you. They won't change that particular subject, and you don't have to teach any other subject at that particular point in time. In a semester, there will be a subject allotted to you. It may be international law or labor law, and that course, you are completely dedicated to that particular course. You just have to complete that course. There is no 2 or 3 courses which is assigned to you. So what is the significance of this particular factor? It's important that you will get in and out knowledge of that particular subject, and every year you are updated with your course work which is been assigned to the students, and your knowledge in that subject will become crisp and crystal. These are some of my experiences. I think I have taken a lot of time, but once again, do try apply to these universities, because you should not yourself hold back. There are various parameters that is been taken into consideration by these universities when they allot or when they fill up those vacancies of faculties, but it should not hold you back, because you are equally competent to apply to these particular institutions. Your knowledge also becomes an asset for them, and certain criteria are there, but these criteria, some of the flexible criteria are there. Publication is being considered as one of the important criteria, and your exposure to the world. For example, how many conferences you have attended, how many foreign engagements with for example, there's a 12 conference which I will be organizing this next semester in February. And this is in coordination with Deakin University of Australia. And I was only able to get into this particular network because I got an opportunity, which was even wherein the staff development fund of my university helped me to go outside and network with those faculties who are working in third world approaches to international law. So this teaching as a profession is very promising, and one should experiment experiment and apply to these particular universities, because it gives you a kind of exposure which will enhance your knowledge and also gives you opportunities to explore a world which is outside and which you really deserve.
The different news reported in Hindu, which I consider it has a constitutional importance. And the second issue reported by this Hindu, which is, I think, is a constitutional